Hello and welcome to Nithrania YouTube channel. You're watching another episode of the Game in a Nutshell series designed for explaining the board game rules. My name is Branislav Berec, and in this video we're going to learn how to play Beyond the Horizon from Cranio Creations. This is a spiritual successor to the Beyond the Sun. If you know how to play Beyond the Sun, a lot of rules will be very familiar. So without any further ado, let's get started. To set the game up, first prepare the game board. Take these 4 level 1 technology cards, they look like this, and place them randomly on these 4 spaces on the game board. Then take 3 random level 4 technology cards and place them face up on these 3 spaces. And then take these leader cards, shuffle each deck separately and place 6 random level 2 leader cards on these technology spaces, 6 level 3 leader cards in these spaces and 3 level 4 leader cards here. Then divide these construction tiles by their level, create 3 stacks, shuffle each stack separately and from each stack reveal 3 tiles face up. Then shuffle these territory tiles. There are 24 territory tiles. Create a drawing stack and then take this starting tile. It's called a Cradle of Civilization tile, and then each player chooses a color and places one of their starting territory tile. They are structured like this in a 3-player game. In a 2-player game they will be placed opposite each other like this. And in a 4-player game, they would look like this. The 4th player would also have a piece here. So we're having a 3-player game. You can place these tiles randomly around that Cradle of Civilization tile. Then take the objective cards. There are cards with letter A, B, and C. Shuffle each deck separately and from each letter choose 1 card at random and place these goal cards somewhere next to the play area. Then each player takes all the components of the chosen color. These are population tokens, place them in these spaces like this. These are development cubes, place them in all these slots. Then take 1 population token and place it as available population token in this area. 1 coin that is indicated by these symbols, and then take another one plus the soldier token, settler token of level 2, that's this brown token, and place that pawn and the settler token on your starting territory. So each player will have 1 settler with a strength 2. Then randomly choose the starting player who will get this first player token. Now, let's say this is the player order from first to last. Take as many government cards as there are players in the game, and now in the reversed player order, each player chooses 1 of those cards. Keep the side of the card as dealt at the start of the game. These are double-sided, so when you take the card, always keep that side and place it here on your player board. The game is played in turns, starting with the first player and then continuing clockwise until the game ends. On your turn, you have to go through 4 phases. The first one is the action phase, in which you have to place your action pawn. In the second phase, which is optional, this is the expansion phase. You will be able to build buildings or settle or fortify villages if you have the tokens available. In the third phase, you will produce either food, economy, or this is the production. This is a new track compared to Beyond the Sun. So this is a production phase, and the 4th phase is the goal phase, in which you check for completed goals. Now I will go through each phase in more detail, and we will spend most of the time in this first phase, the action phase. So the first thing on your turn is to place your action pawn on any available action space. At the start of the game, only the action spaces here in these 4 basic actions are available. Those basic actions have light background. These 4 actions are advanced actions. You will be able to access them later in the game after you fulfill those requirements. So at the start of the game, you can have these pawns somewhere next to your player board. You have to place them on one of these available action spaces. Note that some of these action spaces are only available in a certain player count. This is available in a 3 and a 4 player game, this one only in a 4 player game. Some action spaces require to pay a coin and so on. So place your action pawn in any available action space and then perform the action. I will explain all the actions in just a minute, but let me finish the example with action spaces. Let's say we have the action spaces like this and action pawns. On your next turn, you have to move your action pawn. You must move it to another action space. It can be the action space in the same action. If that action space is available, you simply must move your action pawn, or you can move to another action. When you get these technologies available, which means you, for example, let's say you have a pawn here, which means you have already researched this technology. You also have these action spaces available to you, so you can move your pawn to one of these action spaces and perform that action. And later in the game, as the game progresses, you will discover more and more technologies and will be able to use action spaces there as well. If you don't have the pawn here, which means you have not researched that technology, you may not use those action spaces yet. In order to reach these action spaces, you have to fulfill these requirements. So here you have to have at least one level 2 technology researched. Here it means you have to have at least one village settled. Here 2 villages settled, or 1 village fortified and 2 fortified villages. I'll come to fortification and settlements later. So once you place your action pawn in action space, perform the indicated action. And now I'm going to explain all the available actions in the game. Let's start with this action. It's called research. Anytime you see this kind of icons, that means you can research some technologies. This one allows you to research the level 1 technology. This action allows you to research a level 2 technology. However, you have to pay 2 coins to do that. This advanced action allows you to pay 4 coins and then research the level 3 technology. And with this one, you have to spend 6 coins, exhaust 2 population tokens, and then with the next one, research a level 4 technology. Now, let's come to the first one, researching the level 1. Level 1 technologies don't have any prerequisites. To perform this action, you have to take one of your available population pawns, which means it has to be in this area. That's indicated by this icon. It is some sort of a light gray population pawn. If you have an icon with which looks like this dark black or dark gray population pawn, that indicates these population pawns which are still somewhat in your supply. They're not available as your population pawns. So here we have the light gray population pawn, so it has to be available here. Take it from that area and place it in one of those technologies which you have not researched yet. Let me place it here. You can research each technology only once, and then many technologies reward you with immediate bonus. That's indicated by this lightning symbol and some action symbols here. This action symbol indicates that you can increase your food production by 1 level. Food production is this track. It's indicated by this food icon. You can also have icons which allow you to increase the economy production, and this is the infrastructure. So when you can increase your food production, simply take the leftmost available cube, development cube, and place it in the leftmost empty space of your development track. The same applies to the economy track and the infrastructure track. Then, as this symbol indicates, you can gain another population pawn. In that case, take the leftmost available population pawn, which is still in your supply, and then place it in your available area. So it now became available population pawn. You always have to take the leftmost one. even if the situation looks like this, for example, for whatever reason, these are your leftmost pawns, so you would have to move this one. Some game effects require you to exhaust a population pawn. In that case, you take the population pawn which you have in your available area and place it in the rightmost empty space. So you would place it here. Some game effects may give you some certain bonuses from the rightmost empty space. In that case, if you have to exhaust a population pawn now, you would have to place it in the rightmost empty space, so it would go here. So that's the immediate effect of the discovered or researched technology, and as of now, the orange player has these two action spaces available. They both give you the settlers or soldiers tokens, either for 1 coin or for 3 coins. I'll come to these actions in a minute. In order to research a level 2 technology, you have to take this action. It costs you 2 coins, and then again you can take 1 available action pawn. But in order to research a level 2 technology, you have to meet the prerequisites. And the prerequisites are indicated by these lines. In order to research this or this level 2 technology, there's only one prerequisite. So if you have researched this technology, you can also research this one. If you have researched this technology, you can research this technology. But in order to research this one, you have to have both of these researched. The same applies to level 3 technologies. If you want to research this technology, as these two lines indicate, you have to have these two technologies researched. And for level 4, there are always 3 lines for each level 4 technology. However, well, here we only have 2 of them. But for every level 2 technology, only 2 of these technologies prerequisites have to be fulfilled. So, for example, if you research these 2 technologies, you can also research the level 4 technology. Now, when you research the level 2, and let's say we have researched both of these technologies, and we want to research this level 2. The first thing you do, take this leader card, flip it face up, and resolve the effect. Sometimes it gives you some immediate effect, sometimes effect which affects all other players as well. Simply resolve the effect on the card, then you can discard the card, and then you have to choose the color of this new technology. It has to be one of the colors of these prerequisite technologies. So in this case, either yellow or green. So let's say we want to go with the yellow color. Now, take the deck of level 2 technology cards and start revealing them until you reveal 2 technology cards of the chosen color. So we are looking for 2 yellow cards. If the card has 2 colors, they both qualify. So I'm looking for 2 yellow, and it looks like I shuffled them well. So this qualifies as the yellow technology, and this one as well. Take all the other technology cards and put them at the bottom of the deck. Now inspect both of those technology cards, choose one of them, place it as the research technology, and return the other to the bottom of the technology deck. Don't forget to take your population pawn and mark the technology as researched. Again, resolve the immediate effect, and the action space now becomes available to you. Now with this level 2 technology, there's only one prerequisite for this level 3. So later in the game, if you want to research this technology, if you have the card which has 2 colors, only the color on the right side counts. So in this example, you have to take the level 3 technology of the blue color first, resolve the leader card. There is some kind of immediate bonus. And now start revealing the technology cards of the level 3 until you find 2 with the blue color. Now, after you do, again, you choose one of those cards, return the other cards to the bottom of the deck. And again, the procedure is similar. Choose one of those cards, leave it there, resolve the immediate bonus from that card, and the action space becomes available to you. So this is how the research works. Later in the game, any other player can research the same technology. When they do, they also receive the immediate bonus, and the action spaces are available to them. The only difference compared to the player who researched that technology is that when other players research these technologies, they just don't resolve any leader card because there's no leader card in that space any longer. Other players may obviously research technologies in another branch. So here the purple player can, for example, research this level 2, again, resolve the immediate effect. In this example, you can only choose from one of the yellow technologies, and so on. All the population pawns that are placed next to these technologies, they're called scholars. They remain here for the remainder of the game. There's no way how to move them or remove them from those spaces. Coming back to these production tracks, every time you can place one of those cubes to the development track, if you uncover a space with this hand, it means this is the income you can get during the production phase. Every time you place a cube here in the space which provides an immediate bonus with this flash icon, you gain that immediate bonus. The same applies here. When you take this development cube, for example, as the immediate bonus, you can place or can build one of the level 1 construction tiles. I'll come to that later. When you place the cube here, you gain 1 available action pawn, population pawn. When you uncover these spaces with these 2 keys, again, here you take a settle a village token. That's the token which looks like this. Let me place it here. I'll come to that token later. And here, at the start of the game, you have these special abilities on your government card. They are permanent abilities. When you uncover the space with A, you also have this ability available. When you later come to this letter B, this is an immediate effect, so you can immediately resolve that effect. This is the end game effect, scoring effect. So that is uncovered by placing this development cube. You always place these development cubes from left to right, and you place them in these spaces. When all these spaces are full, then for each development cube that you place here, you can place it next to your player board, and for each one you immediately score 1 victory point. These are spaces which give you income in terms of population pawns. These development cubes uncover income of money, and as I said, this one uncovers building the creating buildings, and also uncovering special abilities from your government card. Now let's go to another action which looks like this. It means enlisting settlers or soldiers. The icon here is dark gray, almost black, which means in order to resolve this effect, you take the population pawn from your supply. So you take the leftmost population token from this area on your player board. Now, as these icons indicate, you can either take the strength 1 from the settlers tokens or from soldiers tokens. So you can make this pawn a settler or a soldier. You do that by taking one of these tokens. These are settlers, these are soldiers. So let's make it a settler. So let's take the token with strength 1. And now you can place that pawn, now it's a settler, on your starting territory or on any territory. Let's do it like this, where you already have a cube, which means in this example you have settled that village or later you have fortified. So you can place a new settler or a new soldier on your starting territory or any territory where you have a cube already. But let's come back. We don't have any new territory here yet. Some game effects will allow you to create the settlers or soldiers of strength 2 right away. So this is more powerful action. And here we have another example. We have these icons with +1 or +2. That means you can upgrade your settlers or soldiers. You can increase their strength. Here for 3 coins, you can increase the strength of one of your settlers. So for example, if you take this action for 3 coins, you can upgrade one of your settlers and only one of your settlers by 2 points. Unless otherwise stated during the game effect, you can only upgrade one of your settlers. You cannot split that upgrade. Furthermore, you can never change the settler into a soldier and vice versa. By the way, all these tokens you have are limited, so if you don't have a token of the corresponding value and the type, then you may not use that token. I mean, you cannot upgrade or create a settler of that strength. Furthermore, you can never have a soldier or a settler with a strength higher than 6. Now, let's move to another action, which is this type of action. With this action, you can perform 4 moves. For 1 movement point, you can move one of your pawns from one territory to another adjacent territory. Now, if you have more movement points available, like here we have 4, you can move one pawn or one settler or a soldier by 4 spaces, or you can split that movement. And you can also move off the edge of the map. In that case, you are going to explore a new territory. Unless stated otherwise, you can only do this once per turn. Take the top tile from the territory stack, reveal it face up, and place it in the space where it touches at least two other tiles. So you would not be able to explore the tile here because it touches only one existing territory. So it can be, for example, explored here. That's for 1 movement point. And as I said, you can explore maximum 1 territory per turn. You can move through the base territories of or starting territories of other players, but you cannot end your movement there. If you move to the territory and you still have some movement points available, you don't have to spend them all, but when you take the moving action, you must move at least 1 time. Now, the next action I'm going to talk about is this one, and that indicates settling a village. Here you have to spend 3 coins and then you can settle a village. You can only settle the village if you have the soldiers which have enough strength to settle that village. The strength required to settle the village is in this area of each territory space. So here the required strength is 3. You can have one settler of that strength. You can combine the strengths of multiple settlers. And when you do, you have to exhaust the settlers who settled that village. If you have the strength which is higher than the required strength, then you don't get any change back. So this settler doesn't become a strength 1 settler. Simply if you sort of overspend, then, well, you overspend, you don't get nothing back. So this settler now needs to be exhausted, which means you take it back and you place it in the rightmost empty space on your player board. If it's here, then it's here. If it was any other, then you place it there, and then the token is returned back to your supply. Now, look at the settlement area of the territory tile, and here you can see the icon for the production track, which in this case is economy. So look at the economy track, take your leftmost development cube from that track and place it on that village. Then immediately take the bonus from that space here, you gain 3 coins, and that's the end of the settle action. You can settle the village even if other players have their settlers or soldiers there, simply first come, first serve. Only one player can settle the village, but once the village is settled, it can also be fortified. The icon for the fortification looks like this. It's very similar to settlement, but it's the icon is gray instead of brown. To be honest, I haven't found any action in the game which allows you to simply perform the fortification, like action like this, on technology cards. You can gain these tokens, fortification token and settlement token. For example, you can get these tokens here, and there are other actions, action tiles. There is a level 1 technology which also gives you this fortification token. That's not fortify action, that's a fortification token. And when you gain that token, you can use that token during the second step. I'll talk about it later. And then you can perform the fortification action. Now, let's take a look at how this fortification action looks like. In order to fortify, you have to have soldiers. So if, for example, you use actions like this, instead of creating settlers, you have to create soldiers, and soldiers have these gray tokens on them. But the fortification can be done by any player. It doesn't have to be, the village doesn't have to be fortified by the player who settled that village. It can be fortified by any other player. By the way, players don't fight with each other, they don't attack each other. It's just a race who will be the first to settle, who will be the first to fortify. The fortification process is very similar to settlement. You have to have the strength of your soldier or soldiers equal or higher than the strength required to fortify the village. If you do, you have to exhaust that soldier. So again, the pawn is coming back to this area, to the rightmost empty space. The token comes back to your supply. Then again, look at the territory tile and look at the production symbol here. It's the infrastructure, so take the development cube from that production track and place it on the fortification symbol. By settling the village, you score victory points at the end of the game. By fortifying the village, you also score victory points at the end of the game. By fortifying, you score higher victory points, but for fortifying, you don't get any bonus. This bonus here is only given to the player who settles that village. As I said, players don't attack each other, so these cubes stay here for the rest of the game. So that's it. Those are all the basic actions and also the advanced actions. Advanced actions are simply variations of the basic actions which we went through, and also the actions on these development and technology cards are simply various variations on these basic actions. Researching, enlisting soldiers and settlers, moving, and so on. Settling a village, fortifying, etc. So now we can move to the second step of your turn, in which you can choose one of these four options, and that's either building a new building, building a building which is already on the map, or using the settlement token or fortification token, one of them, to perform the settle action or fortify action. I'll start with those last ones. These are the basic actions we have already covered. If you want to fortify or settle the village, simply take the token and return it back to the general supply and then perform the corresponding action. In order to build a building, there must be a new territory tile. Let's say we have a territory tile over here. We can also place one here just for the sake of explanation. In order to build a building, your settler, not a soldier, your settler must be on a territory tile where you want to build a building, and you must have one of the buildings already in your supply. You gain these building or construction tiles by advancing on this infrastructure track. Every time you take the development cube from this production track, for example for a fortification, a village, or for any other effect, or even for placing it in the development track here, with the immediate effect here you can take a construction tile of level 1. Here you take the construction level tile of level 2, here level 3. So in order to take one of these level 1 construction tiles, simply choose one of those from the display, then immediately refresh the display with the new tile and place that construction tile somewhere in your supply. Now, when you have that tile and you have your settler either on the empty territory tile, you can also build that construction on your starting territory tile, or on this central starting tile, which is called Cradle of the Civilization. Then you can build that tile. You cannot build the construction on the territory tile where the village is already settled, and you may never build a construction on starting territories of your opponent. In order to build it, place it on top of that territory tile. You have to pay 3 coins and you have to reduce the strength of that settler by 1. So from level 2 or from strength 2, it becomes strength 1. Now immediately take the bonus from that construction. So here you can do the research, you can perform the research and technology level 1 action, and on top of that place one cube from your production track of the corresponding type here. So that's the economy track here, meaning you already built that building. So that's how you build a new building. The other option is to build a building which is already built by another player. So again, for the sake of explanation, let's say this tile was built by a green player. Now, any other player can build that building again. It cannot be built again by the green player, unlike settling and fortifying the village, which can be done by the same player or by two different players. Buildings can be built only by two different players. Again, in order to do that, you have to have your settler there, pay 3 coins, reduce the strength of the settler by 1. If it goes to 0, it needs to be exhausted. So return it back to the rightmost empty space, return the token back to your supply, and then take the leftmost development cube from the corresponding production track and place it on that constructed building. Again, take the bonus from that tile, and now at the end of the game, the player who first built that building will gain 1 victory point as a bonus. That's the bonus for someone else building the same building. So that was the second step. It's optional, so you don't have to perform any of these actions, and you can only perform one of those actions. And now we move on to the third step, which is production. In this case, in the third step, you either produce your pawns, so population pawns, or you gain coins, or you can perform trade. I'll go through each option in more detail. When you produce your population pawns, for each hand you gain 1 population pawn from that column. So in this example we have one hand symbol for this column, 1 for this one, which means you can gain 1 population pawn from here, but there's nothing here, which means from this column you don't get any production, any population pawns. From this one you can gain 1, and that's it. If this cube was somewhere else as well, you can also gain another population from a population pawn from this column. It doesn't matter that there are 3 hands here, so you don't gain 3 population pawns in total. It means you gain 1 pawn from the corresponding column. It can easily happen that a situation looks like this. These pawns can be either on technologies or as settlers or soldiers. You can have 1 pawn from each column, but those columns are empty. In that case, you don't get any production from your population. If you decide, you can also always choose only one of these options. So if you decide to take the coins, again, for each hand, take 1 coin. In this example, you would gain 3 coins. And if you decide to perform the trade, you can perform these transactions as many times as you want in any combinations. You can also perform more of these transactions of the same type. It's up to you. So an unlimited number of these transactions. After that, we move on to the 4th step, which is check the goals for completion. Let me move those goals to this camera. So there are always 3 goals in the game. If you fulfill the requirements or conditions on one of those goals, take the leftmost development cube from the production track of your choice, from any of them, and place it in the leftmost empty space on the goal card. Let's pretend that we have researched 10 technologies of any level. In that case, the player would score 5 victory points at the end of the game. All other players can fulfill the same goal and they would score the lower number of victory points. Even if you fulfill the conditions of multiple goals, you can only claim 1 goal per 1 turn. And obviously each player can only fulfill 1 goal card once. When you fulfill the requirements of a goal card, you must score that goal. You cannot prolong the game by not scoring your goals, because as long as 4 cubes in total are placed on these goal cards, then the end of the game is triggered. 3 cubes in total in a 2-player game. When that happens, finish the current round, then play one more round, and then the game will be over. Over the course of these final turns, there are more goals that can be scored. Again, one player can only score one of those goals per turn. Then the game is over, and now sum up all the victory points, score the victory points from these goal cards, score the victory points for buildings. Remember, the player scores one victory point for the constructed building only if the second player constructed that building as well. Score victory points for settling the village, score victory points for fortifying the villages, then score victory points for your technologies. For each level 1 technology you have researched, you score 1 victory point, 2 victory points for each level 2 technology, 3 victory points for each level 3, and 4 victory points for each level 4, and these technologies also provide additional victory points. Finally, score the victory points from your player board. If you have any cubes in this area, score the highest number of victory points, so these victory points don't accumulate. Let's say we have it like this. In this example, the player scores 5 victory points. It's not 9 victory points in total, it's just 5. If you reach this space and you scored 8 victory points, for any additional cube, you score 1 additional victory point. Finally, if you reach the last space, so if all these development cubes are gone, let's say they're here, if you reach this space, it also unlocks the victory points condition on your government card, so score those victory points as well. Sum up all the points, and the player with the most points is the winner. So that's how you play Beyond the Horizon. If you have any questions or comments, I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. If you like the series, please subscribe. You can also support the channel on their Patreon page. You can also click the thank you button under the video. You've been watching Game in a Nutshell. My name is Branislav Berec, and hope to see you next time.